another Wednesday evening, the last Wednesday of March, I believe. Yes, it is. Last Wednesday of March. So goodbye winter, even though it snowed today here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So that was not very pleasant. But anyway, we'll get over that.
I kind of wish we did here.
Yeah, it's not. I've been over winter for like 6 months, so it just keeps going here. But anyway, don't want to dwell on that negativity. It's all positive as we welcome creator, freelance filmmaker, all around cool dude Hastega to the program. It's the first time on this show, so he's going to chat about his creative journey. Lots of things going on with him, and if you're coming from his side of the world, you don't know what the show's about. It's all about connecting creators to creators and just talking about what we make, why we make it, what we're doing, all that good stuff. So if you make something, feel free to reach out and love to have you on about whatever you make. It could be anything. It could be just drawing something with a crayon. That's cool too, I guess. But follow us on Open Shutter on Instagram, and this is on Spotify and Google and wherever else this link is. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, Hastega. So first of all, thanks for taking the time. And for the people that don't know who you are, maybe a quick intro about yourself.
Oh, absolutely, and thanks for having me. So, so my name is Hastega. It is a creative moniker, but that's what I primarily use. So I am a freelance filmmaker. I am also a Twitch streamer. I'm from the DMV, so I'm in the States for anyone. On the East Coast, I've been doing this for about, say, like almost 10 years. I kind of started picking up the camera around like 23, 24. And then just slowly but surely started trying to build something on YouTube. I actually had a previous channel before I had decided, after a number of life experiences, I decided to just do a complete nuke and pave, which is what brought me to where I am in my current space, which is going back into doing like client work for people. So I'll do like stuff for small businesses, but then also doing short films and short scenes, because I like movies, I like shows, and I wanna create stuff. I'm definitely a big creative at heart. Like a lot of my experiences on like wanting to do something online has been, hey, this looks really cool. What do you need to do to get into that?
Being curious is really, really important, because that's how you kind of see what you like and like what you don't like, right? So it's good. It's good that you kind of use that approach.
Yeah, and it's and like I said at the very beginning, because like I said, I started around like 23, 24. It was funny. My very first like fully published YouTube video was a movie review, and I went to have you heard of the movie Lucy?
Yeah. That one?
So it starred Scarlett Johansson. It was it was a sci-fi kind of ish movie, basically talking about like how humans only use like 10% of the brain, like kind of some like flawed science. But I mean, that you go into it with like relatively low expectations with that kind of a movie. I did not, and. Yeah, I left the movie extremely confused, but I also thought like, hey, this would kind of be a really cool idea to just talk about. And then about a week or so later, after I went to go see the movie, I just did the review and put it up on YouTube, and that was the first video that I started with for a commentary series.
Okay, so is that channel active or no longer active?
That channel has been buried.
Buried, eh?
Yeah.
No. Are you gonna bring it back to life, you think, at any point?
So that particular channel and like the premise that I had for it, I might do something like that in the future. Because what it ended up being, because like I started that one kind of just like, I'm gonna throw like darts at the board just to see like what works, because I was in that experimental phase of trying to figure out what it was I wanted to do, but also like I'm not gonna know unless I get started. So that was one of the things. So I did things from like movie reviews to talking about like social issues that were close to me, like personal stories, things like that, just stuff that I felt people would would kind of feel like related to. And that's I did about like 20 or 30 of these types of videos, and I did them in like a series kind of format. So I had like 10 that I would do, take a break for a little while. Like I broke it down to like an actual series.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. I do still have those, like all those videos, like on my hard drive. Like I have everything saved, but most of it probably won't touch the internet again. But the concept of that series, I might end up doing again. I've kind of been sitting with that in the back of my mind for a few years now. But I'm like, I need to get what I want to do first off the ground before I kind of dive back into that. Because I was thinking if I kept going with it, then it could have definitely turned into something. But I didn't realize that until now, which, you know, after realizing, you know, it takes a while for you to build something, and I'm thinking, okay, this might, it might come up a little faster for me, but I didn't realize how much work I had to put in. So once I started learning that, and it's like, okay, how do I adapt? Because at the time I would say but still am, you know, doing full-time work, and any creation that I do in terms of like videos or streaming is done on my off time. So evenings, weekends, but I also want to make sure I have time for, you know, myself, going to see family, going to see friends, and then just general
balance. Important because that's what leads to burnout, right? You're just constantly kind of chasing whatever it is, and it's like it just leads to burnout. And I think honestly, it's good that you point out that you kind of pivoted, because I think like in our space, when you're trying to make stuff, I think like the goalpost always changes. Like it always evolves into something else. I don't think it's like linear all the time where it's like, well, if I make this, it's going to lead to this. I think it always changes in some fashion. Like it's never what you think it is. Like when you start, because you always like evolve into, you know, you want to be like a better person, you want to be like a better creator. So I think to me it's like, don't think that what you think is going to happen is going to happen. You know, it's going to change, which is fine, because that's good.
Yeah, adaptability is definitely key. Like I honestly didn't think I would be doing as much as I'm doing now with, you know, with video and with streaming. I like, if you were to ask me, you know, 10 years ago, if you were like, hey, are you gonna be involved in streaming? Are you gonna try to start like your own side business for like filmmaking? I'd be like, I got no idea. I just want to, film stuff and have fun. Like my first camera was my my Samsung smartphone, and it was like the first few ones that came out, like the S3. I was using that for a majority of stuff that I was making.
Yeah, that's what I was saying offline. Is like everyone has access to a camera off their phone, so it's just like the cost to entry is very low because everyone has a camera. It's just a matter of like how much work you're willing to put in to like lead it somewhere if you wanted to lead somewhere, right? So I think, you know, people always like downplay phones, and yes, they have its like limits, but again, it's a great way to see if you actually like the process.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, and it's a great learning tool too, because I mean, if I hadn't started with my phone, I wouldn't have made the conscious decision of I need to get a better camera.
Yeah, of course. Like it's like honestly, like gear like never ends. Like you're always gonna want something. Like it just never, like there's always gonna be something that you want. So if you're able to like make something with what you have, it's perfect, because at least you're doing the work, right? Like it's just about consistent doing the work, doing the process, and just getting better. And then once you need the gear, then get the gear. But you know, don't. To me, it's like gear is always a crutch. Like you can always use it to like not do it because I don't have the Sony whatever, and I can't do the project. Meanwhile, someone else can do the project with like whatever, like a freaking Canon, whatever, right? So I just don't use it as a crutch.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, no, I thought you said something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and it's very interesting too, because I wouldn't say I have fallen in the space. There's always like I've seen like two categories of people when it's like describing gear. It's always like the person that's like describing it, but then they're also saying like gear doesn't matter. And then there's the person that's like, oh my God, I have to have this. And then like trying to figure out like how to get it the easiest way possible. But, also thinking like, okay, if I keep putting in the work to get this gear, then I'll eventually get it. And then I'll get to that higher level, but only doing like half the work. I fell into that category for a little bit.
Yeah, I think we all have at some point, because I think we all want to do. I mean, hey, you want to do less work for more money? Sure. Like who would say no to that? But again, it's never to me. It's like it's never what you think it is, because especially when you're doing client work. I know that you touched upon client work. So like, how do you like what like? I mean, can you say like what kind of clients you work with, or like maybe like the general industry, or
Right now I can. I don't have anything that
yeah,
has like a whole
yeah,
NDA kind of thing.
yeah,
So mainly my focus is just because, for right now I'm a one man band.
yeah,
I'm doing stuff for like small businesses,
yeah.
doing stuff for, funny enough, other content creators. So like
Okay.
ones that are like local to me who are trying to excuse me, who are like up and coming, and they're like, I need something for social media. I don't necessarily know how to do this, but I also don't want to spend like thousands of
Yeah.
dollars to find somebody who's just gonna like, drain me of money. I'm like, look, I can help you out with that, because I have been and still am in that position of like building, but also like I have the skill. I'm willing to like help out, because I want to, as much as the people around me want to see me come up, I want to see them come up too, especially with
Yeah.
a lot of the local scene here, which I'm starting to learn is a bit bigger than I thought, but still, it's still hard for me to kind of like get into it. And I don't know if part of that is just because of how things are organized where I am, or a little bit of like anxiety, maybe like a little bit column A, a little bit column B, but it's definitely been different over the last like couple years, trying to figure out who exactly I want to try to like do stuff for, because I want to make sure it's like I want to make sure I'm working with people that are like, hey, let's do something. Let's make something awesome, and not just trying to get a fast one, or get like free
Yeah.
service like
Yeah.
that.
You want to have like your goals aligned with their goals, or like a little bit like your vision aligned with their vision. Like you need to believe in them.
Yeah,
It's not just like a paycheck kind of thing.
yeah, and then vice versa. Because like if I say, hey, this is what I'm offering, if what I'm offering to the person, if they're like, I don't think this is going to align, it's like
Mm.
it happens, and that's not something I can force. Give I can just offer my very best, and if it doesn't align, it just doesn't align. And
Yeah.
you can't really force it. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking for that kind of genuine connection, because
Mhm.
it's nice to get a little something on the side, but really is more so I can say, hey, I worked with this person on this, and they can say like, hey, they worked with me on this.
Yeah.
This was awesome. This was a great experience, and I want to have those going forward.
Yeah, there's so much more value to that too, because you'll just want to keep working with that person also, and that person will know other people. It's kind of like it's kind of like a snowball effect, right? Like, are these people on YouTube, or are they on Instagram? Like who are these people?
So, a few of them are on Instagram.
Yeah.
A lot of them kind of do like the conventions that happen, like in state. Some of them also, I know some of them happen in Canada, but like gaming and anime
Oh,
conventions.
yeah?
But a lot of them kind of do like cosplaying. They do like
Mm,
modeling videos, things like that. So they're always looking for different stuff for social media. So I try
yeah,
to work with some of them, and then also touching on some of the other clients, like smaller businesses. So I kind of work with like mom and pop shops, and
yeah.
then I've
Great.
also done like life events too. I would say one of my favorite client videos that I've done was actually a gender reveal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right on.
and I think the reason I liked it was just because it wasn't anything big. It was just the husband and wife, and
Mm.
they had no idea they had no idea the obviously the gender of the baby, but it was a very intimate setting, and they wanted to make a video for themselves to like keep that memory, but
Yeah.
also use that as the gender reveal for the family. So once they
Exactly.
got like the final product for it and they
Mm.
shared it, like I saw like all the comments on the like on their page when they had shared it. It was just like hearts everywhere. It was like, oh my god, I was choked up, and it was like it was just so heartwarming. And I'm like,
A moment.
this is why I do what I do.
Mm.
This,
The
this
moment. The
yeah,
moment.
yep,
Documenting, especially such an important moment like that, which will never ever happen again.
yeah.
You have,
And now they
you have
have it
one shot.
immortalized.
You have one shot at getting that one
Hmm.
too. That's a great story, man. Gender reveal, eh?
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, that has definitely been one of my favorites to do. The other one was also for a Twitch streamer, but it was basically kind of like an intro that he would use for his for his stream, and basically just showing off the space, showing off like items, things like that. So you kind of have like some B roll. You got like some like some nice music in the background. Well, not nice music, but more like the kind of like the upbeat, like energizing music.
Right.
So I worked on that, and that was also another one that I enjoyed doing, just because I got to play around with
Yeah.
like like slowing footage down, trying to doing like slow motion matching clips. Like I I think if filming is something that I enjoy, something else that I enjoy even more is just like dumping everything into the editor and just like feeling like I'm putting a puzzle together.
Well, that's what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a puzzle.
Oh, definitely.
It is a puzzle. I mean, with practice, you're able to like shoot to edit more. So like when you get back to editing, it's a little bit more manageable. But yeah, it's because the whole story's in the edit. Like you could shoot the greatest footage on earth, but if you don't edit it right, you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So there's definitely a skill there for sure. We were just talking offline about content creation and how it's such a blanket term for everything that's content. It's like you gotta give some respect to all the different job titles there are in the content creation world, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So but
Oh yeah.
that's the world we live in. Like social media has dumbed down content creation into like a 20-second reel on TikTok. It's like, okay, well,
And a thing with that
yeah.
I've definitely noticed, it's and I can't say this for everyone because I feel like while everyone's attention spans have kind of like shrunk, and I think between
Yeah,
Vines, TikToks, Instagram Reels, stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
there is always a market for like the longer form content. But going
I
back
think
on what you said about like the multiple jobs and stuff like that, if you break down, like if you take one piece of content or like one YouTube video, for example,
yeah,
and you break down every element that you have there,
crazy.
you got the cinematographer, you got
Yeah,
the director, you got the script writer, you've got depending
audio,
on how big the project is, you got wardrobe, you got makeup,
so
you got sound, you got graphic designer,
that's what I
you
mean. That's what I mean. Yeah.
yeah, you have public, you have
The
PR,
marketing, advertising. Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a
and
lot. There's a lot that goes into it. And people that don't make videos, I'll just use videos as an example. People that don't make them, they don't understand what's involved because they don't do it right. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's no way to fight it. I mean, that's just the world we live in. But I mean, I always try to like when people say, "Oh, you make videos," I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, is that easy?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Oh, don't you they just press the record?" I'm like, "Yeah, but that's just like the first step." No, no. So I try to like at least educate people on like what's involved, because some people may want to start a channel on YouTube. And I said, okay, well, just start, but like make it manageable. Like start baby steps, make a short video, just so you can make the process faster. See how the editing is and all that, right? Because to go in with like a freaking 1 hour video as your first video project, I think you might get overwhelmed, right? So you need to like start small and then go from there. So, but
I have definitely made that mistake before. Thankfully, it
yeah,
wasn't my first video, but it was
yeah,
after I had finished a few from my previous channel. I had like this really ambitious idea of like I can create like a mini series, and then I started it off, and it worked because the mini series is only like 5 minutes
yeah,
per 5 minutes per episode, the but what I ended up wanting to do was like I kind of want to create like a whole universe with this entire thing, and then
yeah,
that as like my idea was so grand. I was like, it's gonna be like a 2 or 3 parter. Each one's gonna be like 10-15 minutes. I
yeah,
can do this.
yeah.
Did not come to fruition at all.
That's what I mean.
I got as far as writing. That's
That's what I
it.
mean. That's what I mean. Like people like you need to like make it manageable just so at least you can make the next one, right? Because you always have to think about making the next one. Like it's easy to make one, but can you make two? Can you make three? Can you make five? Can you make 10? Right? Like I think that's where people get stuck is they want like the validation from like the first video. It never happens ever.
Yeah.
It never happens. Like you need to understand that you need to make a lot of stuff, like a lot of things, and maybe eventually you might get a little bit of validation. But that's why I always say every live I do, you gotta do it for yourself. Otherwise, if you don't do it for yourself, and speaking of video, guys, Andrew's on, so he was just on with me a couple weeks ago. I think Andrew had a tweet about it's not about you, it's for the audience. Yeah, it's true. It's not really about you, but you know, it can be for you and for the audience at the same time, right? Because like once you put something out there, you have no control over how it does. So at least it's 1%. At least it's 1% for you. It gets you to make the next thing.
Yeah,
You know
there definitely has to be some sort of like there.
A little bit, just a little bit, because
intrinsic motivation. That was the word I was looking for. Some level of intrinsic motivation. Otherwise, if you put it out there and it's like, oh, well, this didn't do as well, you're like, well, okay, I quit.
Well, that's what I mean. I just saw a tweet from Rick Rubin, who is a famous music producer. I'm going to try to find that tweet because he had a really, really great tweet. If I can find it. Let me try to find it. He had a really great way of actually saying what we're saying right now.
I may have seen. Did you happen to read?
I just put it on my Instagram. Yeah, here it is. I found it. I think it's a great way to. And Rick Rubin is like the music producer. So, here it is. I'll put it on the screen.
There we go.
See that? Yes. Yeah. Yep. So I think to me this is perfect. This is exactly what I mean, right? All that matters is that you get to express yourself and the audience gets something that speaks to them, even if these two things are not the same. Mm-hmm. So what he's saying is, I'm doing it for me and I'm doing it for you. That's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah. And, part of your goal is you want to be able to align what you do with what the audience as best as you can, but you also don't want to lose yourself either.
No, exactly. I mean, I think like when you're first starting out, let me stop this share because that was weird. When you're first starting out, like people, like usually you're being yourself, typically, like you're just doing what you want to do. You're making what you want to make, and people will just come and gravitate with you, right? So whatever it is you're doing, you're growing your brand, you're growing your audience. Like to me, it's like, why would that change if your audience gets bigger? It just means more people like what you do. Sure, mm-hmm. Like maybe you're pulled in different directions with all these maybe different things, brands and sponsorships. But I mean, you still need to. That's why I was telling you offline. Why are you doing what you're doing? Like, why did you start in the first place? It kind of keeps you grounded, right? Because it's easy to like lose yourself. I think once you get if someone gets really big in terms of audience, I think you get pulled in a lot of different directions. I think that's speaking to your point about like goal alignment and values. You have to make sure that what you're doing is in line with what you value. Because then if it's not, you're going to lose being genuine in front of your audience. And that's what people came to you for, is like, because you're being yourself and you're being genuine.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because you would think that that's such like a rare case of like, okay, someone is, pivoting solely to the audience and kind of like not doing what they want to do, and then they hit the burnout. But then, you look at the discourse online and it's like, It's so common. And it's like that alone. And also the thought of like, if I were to do something and then it like somehow accidentally blows up, and then it's like, oh, all of a sudden I have to cater that. I definitely enjoy what I do, but that thought terrifies me.
Yeah.
Because I never want to be in the position where I burn out like that. And I know it would be so easy to do.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to like go in a really opposite direction. And I think, obviously it's easier said than done, but you just have to remember why are you doing it? Like, why does it what's the whole point? And, I don't know. It has to be for yourself. Even like 1% of whatever the thing is has to be for you. Otherwise you've given up total control over what it is that you're doing, because you can't control what people think. It's impossible.
And that's kind of what led me to like the whole nuke and pave that I did for myself in terms of wanting to expand on the on what I want to do creatively. like we were saying before we went live, a lot of what spurned my creativity was always just I saw something online. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I kind of want to do this.
Yeah.
What do I need to get started?
Yeah.
It was never I want to get famous, or like I want to make tons of money. It was always the fun aspect. Now, going through it, like, through the years of like when I started up till now, there have definitely been points where, it wasn't like just one point. Like, there were several points where I felt like I might have pivoted to like, okay, maybe I'm needing more and more validation, but it was really hard to catch it because it's always kind of in the moment. So you kind of really have to step back and look, and it's like, okay, I think I lost sight of what exactly I was doing this for. So I was like, I need to figure out what's going on. So then I go back into like the experimenting phase. I hit momentum, and then all of a sudden it stops again because those feelings came back. And then naturally a couple big events that have happened. I mean, obviously COVID has hit everyone in some fashion.
Sure.
Not just the illness, but just like the after effects of just causing the world to come to a complete stop. Mm-hmm. So that naturally made me think about, okay, I'm doing stuff in making videos and content creation. I want to actually do something that can like help. So it's like, what could I provide that would be like actual value? And then that's kind of what got me into the, teaching about filmmaking. And it started off with some tutorials about like, basic skills, filmmaking techniques and things like that. And then also slowly dived into like gear analysis, stuff like that. Didn't necessarily enjoy it as much as I thought I would. It was kind of nice to be like, hey, this is what I have, but this isn't what you need to get started. But I look back on that particular video and I'm just like, I didn't really need to do this one. It's not like oh my God, this video is terrible. It's just kind of like I could have spent my time doing something else.
It's a learning thing, though. It's a learning thing. What are you going to do? You just learn from it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You can't hit a home run all the time. Like, it's just a matter of like figuring out like what it is that you want to tell people about, right? So like, is that where you wanted to go then with like the filmmaking stuff and like teaching people how to be a filmmaker?
Yeah, definitely just in terms of like, filmmaking as a whole. So like deviating away from like the gear stuff, more like the techniques that go into filming. Why are certain shots used? How to generate ideas, how to like also learning about the general rules of filmmaking that like, that great filmmakers have taught, learning how to break those rules. And this is a lot of stuff that, I've learned already just through my experience of like a lot of trial and error, and then, realizing, hey, this is kind of the direction I want to go. So like starting a brand new channel, not having a lot of people on there, like right now only has 17 subscribers, but
subscribe
that whole like reset button thing was like, this is what I needed to do. And with more of the focus on filmmaking, is like, I kind of want to get down to the nitty gritty of like, why you want this shot a certain way, or why this idea. I want to get into like the deeper stuff with that, and of course sharing techniques. But I also want those techniques to be like, I'm doing this with the gear that I have, but you should be able to do this with whatever you have access to. It's kind of like breaking it down, making it simple, accessible, using whatever you can, and just really developing the story more.
It's so key. It's so key in terms of using what you have. And it's also key in terms of like just learning like filmmaking, because I was saying offline, filmmaking is different than making a YouTube video. Like filmmaking, I think is just different. Just a different beast like altogether, right? So
it's a whole nother beast. I mean,
it's a whole, I think filmmaking is a whole different art, right? So like, are people like sending you messages? Are they giving you advice, feedback on like what you're doing? Like how has it been so far in terms of like their perception of what you're doing?
So far it's been pretty good. It's it hasn't been as much feedback, but that's because a lot of people that I had originally did stuff with, either through distance wise or falling outs, I don't really talk to anymore. But I'm also trying to get myself grounded in like, like people who genuinely want to see me succeed, and not just kind of like say it and then mean something else behind my back, which is kind of
the haters. You got some haters over there.
I wouldn't say haters. That's at least for me, like that's definitely a strong word. I have not had any haters, hopefully, knock on wood, but I probably jinxed myself with that. But no, there's definitely been some in the past. There's been some pushback just because, you know, creating stuff is like, you know, there's always the understanding of, you can just flip a button and then you can record something, but then there's always like the little nuances. And I think because I was focusing on that, it kind of felt like I was taking away from whatever time they wanted from me, but I would still try to do things, make time for people as best I can, trying to achieve that balance.
Hey, it's funny who sticks around when you're doing what you want to do also.
Yeah, and it always sucks because you never want to say that out loud, because
it's true though. It happens to everyone. Happens to me too. Like once you actually start doing what you want to do and you're like have a little bit of success, you see who sticks around and see who leaves, right? But it's fine. That's life, man. Like what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and a lot of and that's the other thing too, like defining success. Like, if someone were to look at things like number wise, it'd be like, okay, it's not
even numbers though. It's just in terms of like actually having the courage to do what you're doing takes courage, because not everyone has that in them to actually put themselves out there, right? It takes courage.
Yeah, but a lot of things, a lot of like feedback and people coming in for like different, like I'm getting requests for for client projects now, and that's because I've had like a main website where I put some stuff on, and I don't look at it as like there has to be like a ton of stuff coming in. It's just someone is seeing it and recognizing the work that I'm doing, and they're like, I value this work enough to where it's like, I want you to do something for me, and I'm willing to throw money at you for it. And I'm like, that is success. It does not have to be 1 million people, and I'm like, that's awesome. And then also just being able to put stuff out and not have to worry about, okay, I have to be super consistent. I have to post every single week. I have to do this. Otherwise, if I don't meet the YouTube metrics, I'm not going to get a payout. It's like, all of that is just, I couldn't do it. I definitely could not do it. But having the freedom to like I can be consistent for myself, but if I have to be consistent in making like content for a paycheck, I would instantly fall out of love with it.
It becomes a job then, right?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I already have a job, and I like my job. But if this were to turn into something where it's like it could be financially sufficient, then if I could make that move work, definitely. But that has never been the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is just being able to find a medium for myself where I can express myself creatively, get to meet new people, just have it. It helps create a nice life experience, and it's something I enjoy.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that you mentioned like life experience, right? Because I think that's also like just how you also evolve as a person too, right? Because from the life experience, you get to meet different people and you get different perspectives, and you never really know where it's going to take you, because especially with like the internet, because like you can talk to anyone at like any time. So you never know, man, where something's going to take you. It could be like the smallest thing that you taught, and it's like, oh, you changed my life. I got into film school because of you. You never know. It's crazy stuff happens like all the time, right? So, yeah, man, it's good. It's good that you're doing it, right? Who's like your top 3 like filmmakers over there? Like who?
Okay, so I delve into like a lot of like action and suspense. Although what I will say, my 2 favorite ones are I can never get the last name correct, but his first name is Ryan. But he did the Black Panther movies.
Okay.
So I think it's like Ryan Coolidge. I need to remember the name, but also Jordan Peele.
Great.
Yeah, and I tend to like lean towards more like directors and creators that obviously kind of like look like me, because I'm like I want to feel like I can kind of belong in that space, and it's a little harder to find them in like the YouTube or indie space where it isn't like just kind of like a Vine or comedy video kind of thing. Granted, those things are funny. Like I can watch those for hours, but trying to find that indie group of like, hey, we're delving into like storytelling, sharing experiences, and I've been finding more and more of those lately, but I still feel like there's kind of like a gap, and maybe I'm not looking in the right places, but that's also an opportunity, because it's like, instead of constantly trying to search for it to see if I belong in this space, why don't I just put myself in the space? No one is telling me that I don't belong here, and even if they do, they've got no right to.
Well, I mean, you don't have to ask permission. Like, you just do it. Like, that's the great thing about like the internet and social media, is like you don't have to ask permission. You just kind of do what you want to do and see what happens, right? I think it's a huge plus. It's a huge advantage. Like, there's no hoops to go through. You just do what you got to do, right? It's great, right? Like, it's pretty powerful when you really think about it. It's like, oh, I want to start a podcast, or I want to start teaching filmmaking. It's like, just do it. Like, no one's saying don't, like, just like, there's no one to ask. You just do it. It's great. I don't know.
Yeah. And then just building from there.
You just build. Like, it takes time, right? Like, it takes, I mean, again, obviously you're in it for the right reasons. So people have to be in it for the right reasons and understand like the grind of it. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. Like, so you need to build an audience, which takes time, right? So
oh yeah. And then also building and also when it comes down to like what you want to like put online, that also takes time to build. Like, as an example, I have I have a script right here of this is the thing that I shot and did the voice work for. My friend who came over earlier today to help me out with. This is almost done.
Okay. Exciting.
If I can kind of put
what's the name of the film?
Well, it's gone by 2 names. Well, actually 3. I forgot the third name because I didn't write it down. But the name that I started with is called The Wait, and that was that was kind of like the working title. But then as I was going through the edit, I'm like, that kind of doesn't make sense. I feel like this would fit a little bit more, so I changed it to Last Moments.
Last Moments, okay.
Yeah. And it's gonna be like a suspenseful scene, really heavy. And my friend that I got to help me do the dialogue, like when he came in, and I was like, okay, this is kind of the voice I want you to do, kind of like stern, but you wanted something done, but it didn't happen. You're disappointed, and you're gonna get this result whether the other person likes it or not. And when he did like his test lines, and then we dropped them together into the edit, and we looked at it, I'm like, oh my god.
oh boy.
Yeah, but all the work, like, if I can kind of show you.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, that's just like scribble notes. Like, this is the work that I've had to put in.
You've been putting in work, man. Jesus.
Yeah, just like scribble, scratching, and planning each shot, and a lot of like the planning and stuff, because this is mostly a one-man shoot. This is like actor, camera, edit, all that is me. But I had to put there was like several days of work that went into this.
No kidding.
And it's only going to be for like a 3 or 4 minute scene, but you're going to see where all of that like comes into play when the final product comes. And I'm going to do a whole breakdown on this thing, which is another thing I'm excited for. Okay. And that's like kind of getting me in the motion of, okay, I want to make stuff. I like doing this. So it's like propelling me to the next thing.
Okay. When are you going to start shooting that sucker?
Well, this has already been shot.
Okay.
Yeah. So the short film is already in post-production. It's almost done. I'm just doing a lot of sound design. Because when you're not an expert on sound, it takes a while.
It's a career.
It definitely is. Like for like sound design, graphic design, I do not envy those careers, because like it's taken me hours to kind of get something basic done, and it's like it looks good, but I know like if I hired someone, it would be like 50 times better.
Are you using what kind of mics are you using on the set?
So I have a Rode video mic that I use. I have So I put that separate, like attached to the camera. I don't have a shotgun yet, but a lot of what I've done was close up, so that way it gets the best audio for the
Yeah.
shot. So a lot of what I've done has been close up shots. Also for any kind of like voice recording, I don't use this microphone here on like the webcam. I have a blue snowball mic here that I'll use with the pop filter. This usually helps me out a lot if I want to get like cleaner audio. If I want to do some kind of like general sound recording, this has really been helpful. And and then just cleaning up, I use Audacity to clean it up. Like a lot of stuff that I use is either like really cheap or like freeware, because it's like I want to do this, but I know I can't afford to be like, yeah, get the whole Adobe suite or like get Final Cut Pro. It's like I work, but I don't have that kind of money.
We don't got Adobe money. We don't got
No. We do not have Adobe money. We have
shout out Adobe. We want some free stuff.
Yes, we have that DaVinci Resolve download.
Exactly.
Download from the website.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, a lot of people are switching from Adobe to DaVinci these days, so you never know what's going to happen with Adobe and how they're going to navigate these waters. But it's like making money.
It doesn't make it accessible. That's really what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, exactly. How do you like get your ideas, man? Like, do they just come to you, or do you like have another way of just getting ideas?
So how I generate ideas is normally I just think of movies I've seen. So like maybe some scenes I want to recreate, maybe some like funny stories or like not so funny stories that have happened in my own life, or stories I've heard from other people. So like just pulling different ideas from anywhere. Like I could be walking around somewhere and I'm looking at something, like there could be maybe like people talking, maybe like a weird conversation, maybe a subject I never heard about, but it's like, oh wait a minute, that's kind of interesting. So it's like
you're paying attention to your surroundings. You're paying attention to your surroundings. That's good, man. That's smart.
Yeah. So I'll write stuff down on a list. So I have like a couple notebooks, and in those notebooks is just like a few pages just has like a general boatload of like ideas. Most of those I never go through. It's just like, okay, I write it down and I'll start trying to like pull from some to figure out something that I want to do. So I'll have like maybe 30 or 40 like, hey, this might be a cool idea, and probably gets like maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, hey, having a million ideas is good, because you never know when one's going to come through, and one may not work now, but one idea may work in a year from now, because maybe like life has changed, right? And it makes more sense, right? So you always got to kind of like keep your ideas kind of there, because you just never know when it's going to pop. It's just, they kind of have to be baked in the oven more to kind of like let it breathe, let the idea breathe and see what happens with it.
Yeah. And the other technique that I kind of use for like idea generation is, and this is kind of something for like making like weekly content. There's like the whole idea of like evergreen content. And I thought about that. I'm like, that could also work with films, because there are definitely ideas that can transcend through time. I mean, there's been plenty of films that have transcended time.
Yeah, of course, man.
Some that are like entertainment, and then there's plenty of documentaries that you would watch like maybe 10, 15 years from now. I mean, historical documentation will still last, because it's like it takes place hundreds of years in the past, depicting something like history of like jobs, the economy, politics, different civilizations. Like there's so many things that you could film and discuss and put a story around that, generations from now will still gain a benefit from it, because in some fashion, those stories will play a role into how things are shaped today.
Yeah, of course. Like it's history. It's, of course. Absolutely. Right. Like it's just definitely agree with you there. And, yeah, man, like ideas, like it's always like, it's just sometimes when you're trying to think of one, it just like, it never comes through. And then like when you're just walking down the street thinking about nothing, you get like 5 all of a sudden. Like that's just the way.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, if you think of something and you're like, oh, I don't know where I'm going with this, you walk away from it, and all of a sudden it's like, there we go, light bulb.
That happens all the time though. Like whenever you whenever you're least expecting it, that's when it comes. And it's like, oh, I gotta write this down. I gotta put this on my phone. I'm gonna forget this thing, and but yeah, I always find it fascinating how people get ideas, because there's just it's just like, how do you get your ideas? Like, oh, it just comes to me. I just think of them. It's like, oh, okay, it must come from somewhere. Like you must get some sort of like inference somehow. But
oh yeah, yeah. There's definitely been plenty of ideas that have come to me before, where it's like, okay, this is a really funny story. I could probably put this together, and like it's one of those things too, where it's like you would think, oh yeah, this would be hilarious. I could make this a video. Or, and then you get to like the writing portion and like even filming, and then you're just like, huh, this isn't as funny as I thought it was. And it's just like, nope, scrap it.
Yeah, well, hey, it happens all the time. It's kind of like comedian doing like his his or her jokes, right? This one's funny, that one's not funny, this one's funny, this one's not funny. It's kind of like that kind of thing where you just never know what's gonna pop, right? So
yeah, just chopping up a little bit just to see
you gotta chop it up sometimes. But what's your favorite part of the whole like filmmaking process? Like, do you have a favorite part of it?
So I did touch on this earlier, but it's definitely I would definitely say all right, so it's two now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's definitely the writing portion and the editing portion. I do like the filming aspect, because I like to get the composition and stuff like that, but I think where I feel like I have the most fun is like crafting it first before filming, because then it's like that's where you have the most control, because filming is just like, okay, you're just you're putting what you wrote down into some kind of medium. So like you already have a roadmap, but the writing and the editing, that's kind of like that's like the whole sandbox there. So it's like you get to play around with whatever you want. You get to create the world that you want, and then once you have it written out, then it's like, okay, how can I logically apply this? And then in the edit, even it's just like, oh well, this is how the edit came out, but it's like I can tell a completely different story if I move this here, if I take this out, the right music, the right jump cut, like the right dialogue, so I think those two would be my favorites. So if I had to list them in order, it would definitely be like writing portion up here. So writing portion first, editing second, and then filming third. But filming third is third because I dislike it. It's third because I like the other two more.
You prefer to do the other two more. That's good, man. I like how you phrase it as like a sandbox, because that's exactly what it is. That's a pretty good term. I like that.
Yeah, and some people wouldn't think it's like, well, it's in the editor, so you can't really change it up. It's like, oh yeah, you can.
Yeah,
yes,
you can. You can change everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can change everything about this and make it a totally different thing.
Yep.
Right? You give two people the exact same footage, you get two totally different films. Totally different. It's kind of funny, right?
Even if you say, hey, this is the same, give them, hey, I want you to edit it in this mood, it's still going to be different, because
totally different.
They're gonna they're gonna edit it from their feelings, like their perspective.
Yeah, of course, that's what it is, right? But how's the film festival over there in your area? Like, are there a lot of film festivals in your area for like?
So there's a local one. I did see that there's a guy that I recently got in touch with. It was through a family friend, and he does like local films too. They actually did a premiere. So we have like the like a little community center nearby, about like 20 minutes from here, and they had like a whole premiere. Like there was like a red carpet and like posters and all that stuff. But this was like a homemade movie. But there were at least like 30 or 40 people that turned out, and everybody was local. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And and that film was actually entered into our local, because it's like the Maryland Indie Film Festival is what they call it. But it was actually entered there, and I think they're leaving either next week or the following week.
Okay.
For the premiere, and there's like 50 or 60 entries. Yeah. And I saw that, and I'm like, that looks like it would be really fun. So like if I can't make it down there, I'm gonna at least try to see like when they have the next one, and also maybe like further down the road, like maybe later this year or like next year, maybe submit an entry myself, because like that just looks cool. And I would also like to see, you know, what other people submit. And it's not just, you know, it's not just our state. Like they also have people that submit stuff internationally, but that's just where we host it for us. So it's so it's
a big deal, man. It sounds like a big deal.
Yeah, like I definitely want to check it out, but I'll have to see when the dates are, because if it's definitely around the time where I can go there, I was like, I definitely want to go just to see like what other people have.
Yeah, what's the other? You never know. Also, who you're gonna meet there too. You just don't know. You never know. You may network, right? Network, and see. Sounds like a great opportunity though. Like you got to see some cool movies too, no? Cool.
Oh, definitely, yeah, and it'll be a nice departure from all the like superhero movies. Like I get where everyone is going with all the Marvel movies, DC trying to do what they call recovery, but it's like there was an article that I read about like the superhero film Burnout is happening, and I'm like, I think y'all may be like several months late, but it's still true. Like I think there may be a craving for different stuff, because I think it's like we need to take a break for a hot minute, but
it's too much. It's too much. Yeah. Like
I can still watch all of those movies, but it's like I need something different.
Yeah. Do you go to the theater to watch these?
I used to, but then COVID kind of
before COVID.
Yeah, I did because it was a thing with my mom is a big Marvel fan. So I would go with her, and then my dad's definitely like into comics and stuff, but he's not as into all of the Marvel movies. He's more of a Star Wars man. So anytime the new Star Wars movies would come out, he and I would go see. We went to go see them religiously. Like every single Star Wars movie that came out in theaters, as young as I can remember, we went to go see opening day.
Nice. Opening day too, eh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was adamant about that. So we have definitely seen everyone. So I'm sure that tradition will continue if and when they release another.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure it's going to happen. It must.
Oh yeah,
it's bound to happen. That's cool, man. It just makes for like great memories too, right? That's cool. Mm-hmm. That's really nice.
And that overall just made me like just movies in general, because it's like it's always a nice escape. And some people will feel like I want to go to the movies just to escape, but it's like you can do that, but then you can also learn stuff from them too. It's like it just goes right back to storytelling, and I think movies and that kind of medium is just extremely powerful.
Yes, huge, absolutely, for sure. Does your dad have a favorite Star Wars movie?
His favorite one is Episode 1 and Episode 6.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, he's a very big Vader / Anakin fan, but I think he also got like starstruck when Darth Maul descended onto the scene and had like the double lightsabers, and it was just like, oh, it's about to go down.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's great that you mentioned that, because there's movies too, like they just like you said, they have a great way of just like making memories with like just like your loved ones, because it's just you just have this like nostalgia about it too, right? So you never know where people's films will lead, right? Because it might impact people, right? Because people come from different experiences, and your film can tell an experience, and that person can definitely like resonate with that film because they've gone through a similar experience, right? So to me, that's what it's about too, is about like experiences and trying to get people to like relate and understand and maybe educate and help out and all that stuff, right? So assume people don't know sometimes either too, which I think has a lot of power. Like don't assume people know something, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's definitely a way to like show something to the audience without making them feel I guess the best term I can think of is like making them feel dumb, because it's like, but I think that's the key to great storytelling, is like sharing something that you feel like the audience may not know in a way that isn't condescending.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, but not everyone knows everything. So there's people that don't know something, and you may be able to help them out and in like the right frame, so to speak.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. What are you gonna what are you gonna do? Right? People come from different backgrounds and different like experiences and different, so people don't know, right? So
Yeah, and there's absolutely no way to see everything, which is why I feel
yeah, it's
like the
impossible.
medium is so it's
Yeah.
so amazing, because it's like this is a good way. Like even if it's just a snippet of something, you still get to see something from the eyes of someone who isn't you or someone who is you.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. There's a lot of power to the filmmaking niche. I mean, there's a lot of ways to like express yourself, and I think it's important for people to like take advantage of it too, and just say, hey, like, you know, be yourself and try to tell your message and see who comes and see who likes it and see who like resonates with it, and that's all you can really do, right? So
Yeah.
it's don't try to remake the wheel. Just just try to tell what you want to tell, because if you're trying to like again, it goes back to like being genuine. If you're trying to like be someone you're not, then it's going to come across that way too. It's like you're trying to it's like, well, you're kind of it's just, can we really trust you or can we not really trust you? Like, are you telling the truth? It's like, well, I think people can like sense that too, right? But
Oh, definitely. And it's funny because some content creators will think like, oh yeah, no, I can do this. The audience isn't gonna pick it up. They're like, yeah, the audience is kind of dumb. It's like, never assume that the audience is stupid. They know
audiences are
more
very
than you
smart.
realize in terms of
Audiences
like,
are, yeah.
yeah, in terms of like being genuine and like trying to like if you're actively trying to give off like a persona and you know for a fact that's not you, they'll
Yeah,
pick it up.
of course they will. Of course they will.
100%.
Like the easy example I can give is like when someone promotes like Epidemic Sound, and the next video they're promoting like Art List. So okay, which one do you like? Because last
Yeah,
week you picked up
and again, it's sponsor related, but it's just like,
yeah, it's just like which one do you? Because last week you said buy this, now you're saying buy that. It's like kind of like the like the used cars salesman. It's like it's like, oh, this car's fine. It's got no tires. Don't worry about it. Okay.
but,
Don't
all right, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. There's no fire here. It's fine. So
nah.
yeah, man. Well, I think we have a couple of minutes left, so I don't want to keep you. So do you want to like steer people to like different links, Twitch or YouTube, or where do you want to steer people? I'll put them in the description of this video so people can check it out.
Sure. Yeah. So for my Twitter and YouTube, they are the same handle. So it'll be Hastega Films.
Yep.
The Twitter is basically where I post like most updates for for the streams, for any video projects that I do. Also, like, I don't put too many personal thoughts on there, but like just some general stuff. I may share some of like the nerdy stuff I'm into, so you may see like some random things here and there, but that's genuinely the hub for where I'll post updates and stuff. The YouTube will primarily be just filmmaking tips, ideas, diving into like psychology of filmmaking, what little nuances here and there, short scenes. I eventually want to like do some of these enough to where I get back into like the groove of like making a full short film, so something like maybe 10-15 minutes long, which that was the thing that I actually wanted to mention earlier that you had asked about one of the directions I wanted to go. So and this was inspired from a YouTube video that I watched. Have you heard of a creator called D for Darius?
No.
Okay. So he does filmmaking. He's based out in Arizona, but one of the videos that he did was trying to figure out how to get actors when you're just starting out as a filmmaker. So like, if you have people like dropping out or maybe you're not in like an area where you can get enough people, and I was in that position. So that video kind of helped me out to kind of like get me going a little bit, but I had watched it again And I started realizing, I'm like, if I go back to square one, I should probably do it like completely. It doesn't eliminate the knowledge that I have, but it's going to set me up for what I want to do and what direction I actually want to go. And he breaks down like, you know, how you get actors, and it's it's several steps in terms of like you basically just have to put yourself out there. So you're just making stuff, but you got to start small. So what I'm going to do is I'm turning that concept into a challenge.
Nice.
So I am going to, so in the video, he got to about, you would make like 7 films before you start going out, like asking different people. So like going into like community colleges or like places that do like theater things like that. Looking for like up and coming actors who are always looking for stuff for reels, getting connected with them, and then repeating that whole process of like starting small and building. But the whole idea is trying to like network and get together with people, become immersed in the community that you want to be a part of. And I'm like, that would be a good way for me to not only get stuff on the channel so I feel better, because I'm like, I don't want to sit there just looking at 2 videos. I'm like, I want to make sure I got some stuff up here. So that'll make me feel better. That will knock the rust off of, you know, making stuff, and it gives me something to look forward to each time. Because then it's like, okay, this one's done, so now we move on to the next one, and I'm going to document that process.
Love that.
Like, hey, this is so when I do this one, this short that I was telling you about, this is going to be number 1. So I'm going to do 7 of these. I don't know what like time frame is going to be, but like once I'm finished with this one, I'm going to do a full breakdown on it. And then after that breakdown is released, then I'm going to do another video talking about the challenge in more detail and stating like this video, you know, this short is going to be part of that challenge. And this is number 1. And there will be some videos within that series where I'm documenting, okay, this is what's happened since I've done this. You know, people be able to see it's like, you know, did something change? You know, if it did, what was it? If it didn't, you know, what would I change to like improve on it? But like going through that whole journey. So that's going to be kind of like a series in itself, on top of just the regular, like, you know, tutorial tips, and then just making other stuff that I like. But
yeah, it's fine.
But that was, but that's one goal that I have for this year.
Great. I hope you crush it.
I'm looking forward to it.
You'll crush it. You'll do it. No worries. I should have you back on when you finish that, and we'll see how it goes.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So we could definitely do like a 1 year thing, or like I guess however long it takes me for this process. Because like I said, I don't have it broken down schedule wise, but it's like as soon as these are done, I'm just going to move on to the next one and just like
you just gotta keep going.
Do it as I can.
Yeah, you just gotta keep going. You just gotta be consistent, be disciplined, have a schedule, have some sort of way to keep yourself accountable, which I think is huge, because there's no boss telling you got to do it. It's really up to you, right? So you need to find a way to be accountable to yourself in the end.
Google Calendar does that for me.
Google Calendar is I mean, if there's Google Calendar, hey, shout out Google Calendar, right? But I think it's like, to me, it's like so easy not to do it. Like, you need to find a way to like do it. So you need to find a way to be accountable, because there is no boss saying do it or else blah blah blah, right? So small thing but big thing, you know.
Oh yeah, but for me, if I ever put anything on like a calendar, then it's like, okay, it's somewhere, and I look at it, I'm like,
you need to write it down. You need a visual. You need a visual there for it. Yeah, that's what I mean. You just got to find a way to do it, which is great, right? So I'd love to have you back on, man, and we can chat some more. I don't want to keep you on too long. So big thanks again for taking the time.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. This has been an awesome experience.
Yeah, this I love it. So thanks everyone for watching, listening, wherever it is, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, wherever this thing is, and go check out Hastega. He's doing some really cool work, and if you're in the DMV area, go check him. Go say hi. Thanks again for watching, listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
All right. See you guys.